Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this incredible new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and obviously this is a bit of a double show. I mean, we're going to be talking Cyberpunk. We're going to be talking some Halo Infinite news that got the entire community fired up and excited based on what the Halo channel on YouTube dropped yesterday. And it just goes to show you that marketing a 1 minute and 13-second trailer could drive people insane with excitement. Of course, we have some big statements from Phil Spencer, and we also got more confirmation that the Xbox Lockhart is in fact coming out. It does exist, and we have documentation to prove it. But as you can see, here are our panel members. We are short one today. Unfortunately, Zemi Games literally just left the show minutes ago with an unbelievably terrible migraine. So he is going to take the day off, recover, and he'll be back next week in his seat. But let's get into the introductions so we can break down this incredible show that's going to fill up easily 2 hours of your day. Hopefully, it's the best 2 hours of your day. And we're going to start with one of the people that I think is, listen, I said this in a tweet. Everybody on this panel is an up-and-coming rising star, not only in this community, but of course in the content creation game. And we're going to start with our resident educator, Halo fan through and through, also someone that is the voice of should be a very popular Xbox show that you need to listen to each and every week. Please welcome Insipid Ghost.
What's up, guys? Insipid Ghost, new to Twitch now that Mixer is gone. Good to see everybody. Hope you're all having a great week. We have so much to talk about, and I am overjoyed to get to talk some games and escape the real world, guys. What's up?
Yeah. A little escapism is definitely needed and warranted, especially in the world we're currently living in. And gaming does that for us. But podcasting and, of course, creating content like we all do is also something that helps that along. Real quick, Puzzle Tech Time is here. Hey, dude, thank you so much for joining today's live stream. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: great entertainment for me at work. I'm excited for the PlayStation 5 and Series X. And yes, sir, I would agree 1000%. Thank you for hanging out with us once again. And of course, hopefully this helps get the 2 hours of your day through work that you are going to look back on and say, you know what, that wasn't so bad. And a good friend, a very generous friend of the show, Robert Jones, drops an outstanding $12 super chat and says, best line by Phil, we want to hear our games first, not the console. Big talk. And listen, Robert, first of all, thanks for being here. Thank you for your generosity as always, but also the topic that I wrote up for Phil Spencer is going to start people with goosebumps, and it's going to basically irradiate excitement for what is coming in July. There is a lot to be excited about. But next up, he is our resident PlayStation representative. He's here on loan from the PlayStation Nation to hang out with Xbox Nation. You know him as the powerful and cheerful voice of the trophy room. Please welcome Mr. Bad Bit.
Now, did I get another 3 hours of sleep last night for no good reason? Does that mean I'm going to be cranky bit today?
I hope not.
I'm excited bit today. All right, this is total opposite from yesterday. I'm feeling good. Oh my God, Cyberpunk 2077.
Dude, we got some stuff to talk about. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to a very good friend. In fact, I call him brother. It's someone I grew up with. He's in the chat. Jay the Destroyer. You've heard that name. He's been on several podcasts before, and he is listening live. I want to thank you for being here. My brother is bringing us back to church once again. Smitty Smith shows his outstanding generosity with his $15 donation. Thank you for that. He says, happy anniversary to Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. Salute to the panel and chat, the Book of X. And yes, thank you for the super chat, you being here, but also the congratulations. If you didn't know, and a lot of people did because I got messages. So I got so many messages yesterday that I could not keep up with them. My wife and I, Josette, aka Mrs. Boomstick, we celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary yesterday, and that is something that you don't really hear about in these days, but it's something that we're proud of, and she is my best friend. She has been at the core support for my channel and everything I've done on YouTube, and of course with this community. So thank you for the $15 donation, and of course the congratulations. And last and no way least, I just tweeted out his amazing video that if you missed it, it talks about the July event coming up. And you know something? He does something a little risque, if you ask my opinion. He calls out, not by name, but the so-called people always claiming to have sources and getting it wrong. I have to welcome in the up-and-coming and rising star in YouTube, Archimedes.
Well, thank you, Boom. Your introductions are getting more epic every time. And
I've learned from the best, and that is Lord Cognito of the Iron Lord podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you did.
He really is the best.
I'm so happy to be here today. It's become one of my highlights during the week doing the Xbox Factor podcast. And today's show is especially exciting. We have so many great topics. Let's do it.
Yes, you know what? Let's get into what literally just ended minutes ago. First of all, Cyberpunk 2077 has an official release date of November 19th. It was delayed from September, which of course broke a lot of people's hearts, including our good friend Zemi Games, who is recovering right now as we speak. Hopefully he's not even listening, that he's just in a dark room somewhere with an ice pack and he's asleep. But that's one of his most anticipated games, like a lot of people. First of all, I want to thank the 160 plus people already here, and we're only 7 minutes into the show. That is pretty dope. And I want to say also, I want to throw an apology to the community. Yesterday, I had a bit of an outburst. I was taken a bit back by a lot of thumbs downs that I was getting. And you know what? You know what my problem is? My problem is I'm a someone who goes out of his way to lift up others for no reason other than to just do the right thing, right? That's what I'm all about, is doing the right thing by people. And I probably, you know, in retrospect, probably shouldn't have really even said anything with the thumbs down. And I actually had people reach out to me and said, yeah, you know what? We gave you a thumbs down because I was mad at the game. And even though I'm not going to challenge someone's opinion, I just think that that's not the way you conduct yourself as a community member. I think that if you are a fan of someone's channel and you respect their work, even though you may not respect the game that they're talking about or reviewing, I think giving them a thumbs down is thumbing your nose at them. That's just my opinion. But of course, I don't take anything to heart. I was perturbed yesterday, so I want to, of course, apologize for my. I think I handled it well, but it was still an outburst nonetheless, and it took away from the show. So I just want to apologize for that. But let's get back into gaming. But before I do, the super chats once again continue to pile in, and I cannot thank you from the bottom of my heart the generosity. Donnell Poe drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says this: no one is talking about how expensive Sony's external SSD will cost in the first years. Now, we don't, you know what, dude? That is a fantastic point, and we don't know what's going to cost, what Sony's device or thing is, their memory card or whatever it's going to cost. We know that Microsoft is working with Seagate. We know that the mini the card that's going to plug into the back of your Series X is going to be it's probably going to run about $89. I've already said, I'm already staked my claim. It's probably going to be $79.99 upon release. At least that's what I think. It could be more. I don't think it's going to be, because I think Microsoft is going to purchase a lot of them. When you buy a lot of one item, of course, it lowers the point, the point of price, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Sony's Sony's looking a little spooky. Even though I'm going to get a PlayStation 5 day one, we don't know a lot, and Sony is really, really just been the button up the lip. But real quick, Sin Vendetta. drops in a very generous and outrageous $5 super chat and says this: I wish that Microsoft would announce the date of the July event already, so I know what day I need to take off. Yeah, listen, I know that if you listen to Randall Thor, it's a good friend of the channel. I'm a very good friend of his. Him and Jez Corden are always talking. They're thinking the third week in July. I've already, again, my stake in the ground is the 7th. I have no connections to back that up, but I think it's going to be the 7th. But
I so hope you are right, because I'm going on vacation in between the 11th and 18th, and if that event is in between that, I have to watch it on my cell phone. So fingers crossed.
So let's you know what? I'm going to give Phil a call after the show. Tell him to move it up to the 7th, so you don't miss out. But listen, let's get into Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, that event just happened. I actually watched it on Jeff Keighley's channel, and it started out, it was horrendously pixelated. It paused a couple of times, the sound dropped out a couple of times, but once it got going, we got a chance to see what Cyberpunk 2077 is going to look like. Of course, they talked about the free upgraded version coming to the Xbox Series. The Xbox Series X, and of course they mentioned that it will be coming to the PlayStation. But though I want people to understand, Sony still does not have a smart delivery system. This is just, CD Projekt Red giving the Sony fans an upgrade. That's not.
They have the same. When it comes to, so just to clarify for that, they have the same policy in terms of upgrades to next gen as Microsoft has, where it's down to the developer if the developer chooses to have that upgrade and not charge people. That's totally up to the developer, and it's how long the developer wants to do that for. Just let everybody know.
Okay. No, I definitely appreciate the information and more so the clarification. You know what, Archimedes, let's bring you into the conversation. What did you think of the actual event? It was about 25 minutes. They showed a new game trailer. They showed some actual gameplay. They showed a couple of interesting conversations with, of course, the developers. Did you think it was well done? Did you see what you needed to see to basically, say, okay, yeah, Cyberpunk is going to be that game I'm going to be playing for years?
Oh yes, absolutely. I was really happy about how they structured the event. The game itself looks insane. It was the exact right amount in between telling us a little bit about the story, showing us some gameplay elements, not giving away too much. I thought it was fantastic. Some comments from the developers is always fun. It gives the game a little bit of more personal touch. I thought it was really well done. My only complaint is about the stream quality. I still don't know why these devs don't get it, that they just upload their stuff at 4K 60 FPS, and they always stream it in that bad quality that does not do the game justice. This is my only complaint. The game itself looks fantastic. I can't wait.
At this point, and here's a question for everybody, and Archimedes, I'd like to hear you first. At this point, should it be us tempering expectations of because this, it seems like we're broken records at this point, where it's like, why isn't the stream better quality? Why isn't it 4K? Why, there has to be at this point a technical reason as to why the stream's at 4K, and so many people are probably grabbing the same data from the same place. That must be doing something to the servers in place. So is it something that while we're walking into the Xbox Series X event, should we start tempering our expectations for that stream if we do have that loss of audio or some type of weird buffering? Should we?
I want to answer after Archimedes. I want to answer after him because I got a strong thought.
Okay.
No. Archimedes, go first.
Okay. Yes, we do. I think that the problem is at the moment that these live streams just don't get enough bandwidth to support it.
Well,
on the other hand,
people watching. That's
exactly.
The problem.
And we know that ever since the whole lockdown around the world happened, they reduced bandwidth for certain areas, and so I think this is the actual technical problem behind it. It does not happen if you upload it up front at 4K and just release it. And I get that the argument is always about, yeah, well, then people just skip to the fun stuff and skip the boring parts. Well, let those people ruin their experience, I say. If you just start a YouTube video at 4K 60, don't go during the event on Twitter or something, and you won't get spoiled anyway, and you can really enjoy the stream or the video in that case, as it is intended. This is how I would do it.
Okay. Luke, what were you gonna say, buddy? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think there is got to be an understanding that if the bandwidth is not there for a live presentation, don't do it. Upload a VOD.
Yes.
And talk to YouTube. Talk to rip Mixer, but Mixer was supposed to be this high level tech. Talk to Twitch and say, all right, we want the default to be at max settings or auto settings as appropriate for whatever user. But just upload it as a VOD right now or later on in the show. We're going to talk about all the hits that a Halo teaser got,
man.
Dude,
just as we did for The Last of Us when those teasers hit. That's fantastic. Just upload the VOD. I don't need a live. We can all click start at the same time. Whatever. Make it worthwhile to watch, because when we watched the Inside Xbox in May, which they've talked about learning things from, and I applaud that, there is some incredibly cool gameplay for Ascent and for Chorus that looks stellar in 4K. But I had to go in and watch it after their stream, and that loses a huge chunk of that audience because they're not interested in doing that. They're like, oh, this is what it is. Doesn't look like new stuff. And they've talked a lot about, on both Sony and Microsoft have talked about, it's immersion. That's where you'll see the difference. It's in speed. It's in immersion. You can't demo the speed. Ratchet & Clank was the only one that showed how fast an SSD loads in that PlayStation stuff. It's hard to do that. It truly is. And so they're self-aware. They're talking about how they're not going to let Greenberg back on the show unless he has a better camera. That's funny.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some of the funny things that Phil actually had to say about that. But
and dead on, that's good what they're supposed to do. It's self-awareness. But in that same self-awareness, it doesn't need to run live. Drop it as a VOD at a certain time. Enjoy, everyone. This is what we have for you. And then all the content creators can put it out onto their own platforms and talk over
and they could
it.
do the streaming, and they could do the bits and all that.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, listen, I'm going to say this. I'm in agreement 100%. I think that that if you don't have the bandwidth and you're going to have, again, based on what Sony was able to do, I have a funny feeling, and again, we're going to get into it because Phil actually mentioned Sony by name, and he does some comparisons. It's pretty interesting what he had to say. But I think that I agree. I think that VOD is the way to go. I think that people need to stop with this shenanigans about trying to live stream it just because you're going to get numbers on your channel. Not us, but like Xbox. Oh, we're going to get numbers on our channel. You don't need those numbers. What you need is to put out a video on demand that people will be talking about for 2 weeks after the event happens.
Well, you know what it is?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a PR thing. We always have to justify our existence to people.
Yes,
and
I know.
So we have to. It's a hard sell for PR. It's like we get people to notice you. How? Just trust us. And it's kind of like a measuring contest. It's literally you get to put it on a press release. Your stockholders get a little happy for you if you're like, this is the biggest event ever. We reached X amount. Like, let's just say Xbox event happens next week, and it's like we reach 500 million people in that one day.
Like, I mean, what you're saying makes sense from a business practicality point of view.
Yeah,
but at the same time, seeing how people, even someone like CD Projekt Red, the most beloved developer of all developers, their stream, people they're gonna be talking about the quality of the stream, even though the girl from CD Projekt Red, her camera was very good, and the camera that was being used for the devs was pretty good, but the quality of the actual game being shown was I saw it drop down to as low as 480p. It was bad, dude, and that was off Jeff Keighley's thing. I figured, if anyone's gonna have the most professional running stuff, it's gonna be Jeff. Let me just get onto his thing, and it was bad. It was bad. But real quick, before I get your opinion on this, let me just catch up on a few super chats, because once again, the people are just blowing me away. First of all, Bounty Boom drops an outstanding $5 super chat. And even though his super chat is extremely welcomed, it's what he says that really warms my heart. He says, take it from someone who just started listening to the podcast in the last 2 or 3 months. Boom, you're one of the best. Well, dude, that is absolutely incredibly nice of you to say, but again, sincerely welcomed. I love hearing stuff like that, and I'm glad that you are enjoying the content. And Kiz drops an outstanding $3 super chat. Says, Jeff just showed an additional 20 minutes of gameplay. I will definitely check that out after this show. We have Beaner8127 in the house. Thank you for being here, my brother. He drops an outstanding $4 super chat. It says, Europe has a continent-wide limit on quality. See, I didn't know that. And Sin Vendetta once again shows his outstanding generosity with a $10 super chat and says, but Mr. Badbit, what is Sony's policy when it comes to their own first and second party games? Will Sony's smart delivery, hold on a sec. I hate when I lose it. He said, will Sony's smart delivery system translate to their own games? No, he says no.
No. When I say it's a smart delivery light, it's not as good. Real talk. If Xbox was just like, hey, we're able to, backwards compatibility on all things, we'd all be cheering. That's awesome. If PlayStation did it, which they have, it's just worded awfully. We'd be cheering. We're like, that's awesome. But what Xbox has done is they've gone the extra mile going, hey, listen, and also certain Xbox One games are going to take full advantage. And we plan on going into the future by going back into our library and also enhancing games from the Xbox One or the 360 and even OG Xbox. It's not all Xbox games. That's a misconception. But it's awesome that they're going back to that library and enhancing these games. That's freaking awesome. Yeah. So PlayStation is a smart delivery light system where they have the upgrade for games that are coming out this year into the next year and even maybe a year before that in certain third-party games. But it's not as good.
And, but real talk, call a spade on this one. Chat and everybody else. Nobody's going to rebuy Halo 5. A lot of people are going to rebuy Spider-Man. And this is a business, and Sony is well aware of the fact that their games right now are in a better position to be resold, and Microsoft going this extra mile is a fantastic service to their fans. They're also well aware of why they need to do it, and PlayStation's well aware of why they don't need to do it.
Yeah.
And you can bet your bottom dollar if PlayStation struggles out the gate or if it doesn't do what they want, they'll start rolling these things out. They are a business.
And like the business end of why like that would make sense on a business standpoint, and why it's great that it does for us as gamers is like, look, Xbox didn't have to do this, but they saw, hey, we have this service called Game Pass. We want this service to have the longest legs it can and have that library last and be fresh. And so how do you do that? Where you constantly go back and you refresh games. And how do you do that? By as a cost-effective means? Well, you put it in the system itself so that developers don't have to go back or most of the time don't have to go back and recode things. So
they don't have to do any additional work. See,
exactly.
That's the difference with the Series X. The power of that console and the way that they have it set up with the backwards compatibility, the developers don't have to do anything. They literally just have to say, yeah, you can.
Guys, real talk, I'm confused as well because like I love smart delivery. I think it's great. I'm happy as a PlayStation owner that I have backwards compatibility. I am always like kind of confused when I look at the PlayStation audience and they're just like, yeah, it's nice, it's whatever. I'm like, but like, it's cool. Shouldn't we want that for PlayStation? And they're just like, yeah, we got backwards compatibility. It's fine. I'm like, all right, I get it, but like, let's pat Microsoft on the back a little bit here because they went, again, a company that does not have the comparatively through the timeline as big of a culture as a PlayStation or Nintendo is the absolute best at preserving what culture they have. That's amazing. Yeah. So
well, that's actually a great point. But you know what, Joe? Let me go right to you immediately and bring you into the conversation regarding Cyberpunk 2077. What did you think? But I mean, obviously, the bad stream aside, did this do anything to excite you for the release coming in November?
Man, I think I might have the best internet ever because like the compression wasn't there, but like I never. Oh wait, no, I lied. There is one part where they're doing the Batman investigation thing and it lagged. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had an issue, but I didn't have like all the bad stuff. I guess Mark took care of that. With that said, that's a real deep cut for you THQ fans out there. I love this game. Like ever since I first saw it, it for some reason has intrigued me, and I think it's because we haven't seen a game like this artistically. We haven't seen a Cyberpunk game that looks this freaking good,
Right.
and from what I see from it, and some people thought this as like a ding on their part. I think it's awesome. It kind of reminds me of Fallout 4's combat meets Rage 2's combat.
Oh yes, that's a great comparison, dude.
Yeah,
that's really good.
And so, like,
Rage 2 had good combat. For anyone that's
combat.
skeptical, Rage 2's combat was good.
So like having that there and having the RPG elements, you can see the numbers bounce off people's heads when you're shooting them and stuff. Awesome. I mean, Night City looks incredible. Just driving around, like it looks so much fun. And so to have what I feel like is going to be CD Projekt's Red. I always like to equate them a little bit to Bethesda in the way of they have the fantasy game that you really love, Witcher, and then they have this other RPG that's first person shooter that is Fallout, and I feel like this is CD's Fallout. And if it's as good as The Witcher, man, I mean, and it already looks it, the customization alone is spectacular. And like I'm watching some of the gameplay right now, the traversal as well, like for the problems that Fallout 4 has in terms of like the combat being sluggish, this one doesn't. It looks like it is a competent, not the best first person shooter I've ever seen in my life, but a competent one with RPG elements that go in excruciating like detail. I'm so in on this game. This has been my most anticipated game all year. And seeing what I saw today, the only thing that kind of bored me, I'll be real, is like the detective vision. And I already know I'm barely going to use that. I think what they call it, like the brain dance or something like that.
Yeah, it looked, listen, there's going to be a lot to do. I'm not sure if that's something I'm going to want to personally do, with the, when I'm playing the game. We'll see. But again, there's really going to be a lot to do.
It looks so awesome. I'm so in. And it looks like they're going to have monthly Nightwire live events to keep everybody pumped. So it's cool. And it's also knowing that like we're going to have more impressions from people about this game is awesome as well. Holy crap. That person just cut off a person's head with arm blades. Okay, I'm in. This game's cool, man. I'm so in.
Yeah, I mean, I think this did a lot for the game, even though we already had that 48-minute demo a couple of years ago that just blew everyone out of the water. I think that this just proves that what you saw then is what you're going to get now. No so-called, quote unquote hashtag downgrade. It does look fantastic. And I'm going to bring Luke in, but let me just catch up on some of the super chats. Elemental PO drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "What happened to the live broadcast events like Spike TV or MTV? Is it an issue or expense for these companies?" I think it's more of an expense.
Expense and issue in terms of gamers don't tune in. Like the reason why Spike TV dropped, like the E3 coverage and like the Game Awards, it didn't do ratings for them. So like
who
gamers
watches TV anymore? And I'm not being like flippant or rude. I mean, in mass market gamer interest target demographics, they don't watch TV. They watch streaming. Exactly.
Streaming. Yeah,
exactly.
That's fact. Yeah.
So I think that's where it's coming from. And again, I don't mean for that to sound rude. It's just who watches TV
it's
in that way.
What's a computer? The Apple ad.
Jesse Darby once again drops an additional outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says, "I just got to say this one more. There is one more is to the podcast I watch religiously. RDX Boom and Lethal is the best moderator in the business." Speaking of the sheriff, he is already doing his due diligence to keep the boobs and trolls out of this amazing chat as we close in on 300 people. So a big shout out to Lethal Papa, who does walk these YouTube chat streets silently, but with a very big stick. So, Luke, you didn't get a chance.
Jesse could also try the trophy room or XEP. He might like those too.
Oh yes, absolutely. XCP or the trophy room, or of course, you can always check out. Everyone that's on this panel deserves more ears to their stuff, definitely. But Luke, you didn't get a chance to watch it. You got called into work, but you got back in the nick of time for the show, which of course is important. Obviously you're going to watch it after the show, but what does your hype level look like for Cyberpunk 2077?
Okay, so it when Cyberpunk was first announced, it was very low, and I was in the E3. I was in the room when Microsoft's E3 got hacked, and we saw Cyberpunk for the first time, and Keanu came out. I was in the room for that, as I think you were too, and
yes,
it was cool, but I wasn't into it. Cyberpunk as an aesthetic, Cyberpunk and Steampunk both, none of them have ever done anything for me. I am slowly becoming more excited for this the more I see, because of, I think, the zeitgeist around it. Everyone else seems to be excited and stoked for it. They seem to be pushing a lot of boundaries of creativity, of methods of storytelling. And the truth is, I'm getting more and more excited for it. This is not the game that I am like, I don't have the date in my mind. I'm going to pre-order it when it's available. I'm like, oh, cool, sweet. But this is not like something where I'm like, all right, Star Wars Squadrons is on October 2nd, and I'm playing this at midnight. It's a different type of excitement, and that has to do with scope. If I had known how big Witcher 3 was, I would have probably held back a little bit. Turns out I didn't know, and I went into one of the best games ever made. So I am cautiously excited and optimistic, and I think closer to, I'll be into it for sure. It's just a matter of how they go about marketing and showcasing it. But I mean, of course I'm going to play it. I'm excited to play it on my Series X. I'm excited for the Series X patch. Hopefully it sticks with me. It'll matter greatly what's going on around it. Is there a Batman game around it? Am I into Avengers still at that point when it does come out? A lot of questions going up, but it's coming out in November. There's a lot of stuff before that I could knock out ahead of time. I have a very mixed approach to this aesthetic, and I'm curious, really and truly, how the chat feels, not about the gameplay, but just about the game. Like, are we excited about Cyberpunk beyond just Cyberpunk?
Well, you know what? It's going to be overwhelmingly big. It's going to take a lot of your time. It's going to have 6 boroughs. It's going to be broken down like how it is here in the city. Well, I'm not in the city. I'm in Westchester, but in New York City, where they have Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Bronx, Staten Island, it's going to be broken. There's going to be a lot to do. This is going to be a game that you're going to hear people say, I put 1,000 hours into it, and people won't be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. People will be like, oh, okay, well, you had 1,000. I'm at 1,700. That's how I just think the game is so big. It's so massive that it is just going to take over people's lives if that's your type of game. Open world RPG, you're basically telling your own story. Even though there's a story there, your character is living the story that you decide to unpack. But you know what? Listen, this has been a great way to start the show. But the reality is this is an Xbox program. And quite frankly, I would feel like a shitty host, pardon my French, if I didn't go right into Halo Infinite. Now, what happened yesterday? And of course, I think everybody in the chat, the near 300 people here, are going to want to hear about this, as well as the panel. Now, look, Halo Infinite has been a huge talking point for the Xbox community since it was confirmed to be a launch title for the Xbox Series X. Many have wondered if 343 could rebound off of the disappointing Halo 5 Guardians. Now, what happened on Wednesday, which of course was yesterday, on Twitter and on YouTube, sent shockwaves throughout the entire industry. And what was amazing to not only read, but also hear. And by the way, I listened to that 1 minute and 13-second clip 20 times so far. Now, the reason why I've listened to it so much is because, just to give you a little backstory, I was actually going to play that clip live on the air so you could listen to it as we were talking about the show. And I was advised by my attorney not to do so simply because I would probably get some sort of a content strike and not be able to monetize the video, and that would be crummy. So what I did is I transcribed the actual 1 minute and 9 seconds of what it was, and I'll break that down in a second. But just to form the picture, and again, I think everyone has already seen it, but if you didn't, let's just assume that you didn't get a chance to hear what many people, the millions of people that keep flocking to the Halo YouTube channel and listening to this is how it was set up. It started out with it says signal detected, and then it says tag destination FOE. And the video opens with an alert saying anomaly. And here's what the message said. And again, after listening to it multiple times, I was able to translate it. He says this: the old approaches. Forces occupy the ring. Within hours, it will be under our control. Humanity will burn. Their brazen defiance will be all but a memory. No more prophets, no more lies. We stand together, brothers to the end. We are his will. We are his legacy. We are the banished. And folks, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, check your pulse, because you're probably dead. Enter Atriox, and I won't say the F word, but I'll say holy F. It has been confirmed, and you got to understand this. This is a big deal for 343. This is a big deal for Halo Infinite. This is a big deal for the Xbox community, but it's an even bigger deal for the Xbox Series X, because Halo is Xbox. Xbox is Halo. And we have all been wondering, sitting there in the corner, rocking silently, of whether or not 343 was going to be able to deliver. And one of the biggest gets, one of the biggest wants from the community that I've heard, that I've spoken to, has been they need someone more interesting than the characters from Halo 4 and Halo 5, known as the Prometheans. They're not scary. They're more of an annoyance than anything. I find their characters to be utterly boring. That is my take on it. When you talk about the Banished, and we have two people in this particular panel that can attest to who Atriox is, who the Banished are, and how badass that group actually is, because both Luke and Mr. Badbit just found a way to not only hang out, but enjoy Halo Wars 2, which, of course, he was the antagonist. So I'm going to go, of course, to Luke on this. Insipid Ghost, when you got the confirmation, when you got a chance to listen to this, did you get goosebumps, and did your heart explode with excitement knowing that Atriox would be probably the main antagonist going into Halo Infinite?
Absolutely. Atriox is an incredible Avengers level threat to the Halo universe. Atriox, for anyone who is uninformed or the uninitiated, he leads a group called the Banished. He was so violent within the Covenant and so capable at decimating his enemies that the Covenant began to fear him as he gained followers. And the Covenant was actually fighting a war on several fronts, not just against humanity. Atriox's Banished were a primary threat. And if you play Halo Wars 2 and its DLC, at the end of Halo Wars, or in Halo Wars 2's DLC, they unlock the Flood on the Ark, which is a huge deal, because if Atriox is to be in Halo Infinite, as it would seem to be set up from Halo Wars 2, you can infer that the Flood will make a reappearance.
Yes.
And based in the lore, the Covenant level, or the Covenant species, including the Brutes, meaning the Banished included, they are not heavily reliant on AI, whereas the humans were. And if you played Halo 5, you know that's Cortana's big thing, is that she's stealing the AIs, which means that they are less likely to be encumbered or threatened by Cortana, which means, realistically, story-wise, you can get around a lot of the frustrations of Halo 5's story and just have an all-out war between multiple factions in which Master Chief is on the underdogs team. You know, humanity was winning in Halo 5 and winning in Halo 4, realistically. Now we can be the underdogs again, and that is awesome. Atriox is truly a Thanos of the universe. He is incredibly powerful. He is imposing. He is scary. and I am all in on this.
Well, I mean, obviously, you got a chance to see him firsthand. Now, I only played a little bit of Halo Wars. I want to say maybe a couple of hours. I really got to get back to it before Halo Infinite launches, so I can really get, because I know who he is. I've read about the Banished. I've read about Atriox and how menacing that force actually is. And I got news for you. As much as we look at Master Chief as our Superman, right? If you pick, if you want to go crazy and say, well, listen, let's go Marvel. Pick whoever you want from Marvel. For me, I'd pick Captain America. So that's what I would equate the Master Chief to. The best way to describe,
then would you agree that Master Chief's also America's ass?
Maybe, potentially. I don't know. It's probably very white, though, because he's been in that suit for so long, so he's got no sun. So it's probably a very white ass, and almost to the point of a ghost color, which would be terrible. But, the best, Luke explained it perfectly. He is an Avengers level threat, meaning a Thanos. He is the Halo universe's Thanos, and that's saying something. And you know something? Playing Halo for years, what did you fear? What when you were playing the game? What made you look around the corner? Some of the bigger brutes, right? They were just so menacing compared to Master Chief, and Atriox is 10 times their power. Also, you looked around the corner when the horror element for Halo has always been the Flood. The Flood hasn't been around in a while, and even though some people got it, they were like, oh, they were annoying. I loved having them there. So to know that they're potentially going to be in Halo Infinite is a huge deal. It's a tremendous deal. But you know what? I have to bring in, of course, the second party of this conversation, who was teamed up with Luke to talk about Atriox and what your experience was fighting this new force that we're all going to be privy to come the release of Halo Infinite. But let me just catch up on some of the super chats. Gotham Guy, a very good friend of the channel. I got a chance to meet him at last year's E3. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, I've been waiting to play Cyberpunk 2077 since the first trailer dropped in 2013. I played the pen and paper RPG game in the 90s, and CD Projekt Red will definitely captured the look and feel of it. Yes, they certainly have. And Sin Vendetta, once again, dude, your generosity always blows me away. He drops another $5 super chat and says, boom, my hype for Halo Infinite is only matched by the Demon Souls remake. I'm so freaking hyped for Halo Infinite. Yeah, you know what, dude? There is what they did. The marketing that they did yesterday was brilliant. They got people who haven't been thinking about Halo to start thinking about Halo, and I think that not only is it coming this year, not only are we getting it for a launch title, I think it's going to be it's going to be there in a big way come July. What Gotham Guy shows his generosity once again with another $5 super chat, says, and yes, Atriox and The Banished for Halo Infinite is a stroke of genius from 343. Yes, absolutely. So Joe, again, you got a chance to play Halo Wars quite a bit with Luke.
Yeah,
and you got.
So I would say that I carry the team. I don't know if I agree.
Well, I
with
can't
that,
really. I can't
Yeah,
say
right.
that. I don't want to, be the one that making up rumors or anything. But even if you were kind of dragging behind and Luke carried you, let's just say, or you carried Luke, I'm interested to know. I'm interested to know what your thoughts of Atriox, but more importantly, the marketing genius that was yesterday's 1 minute and 13-second video that dropped out of completely nowhere, basically confirming Atriox's existence in Halo Infinite.
Well, the thing I liked about that post, because it's really simple and it's really cryptic, and it's something that that hardcore fans are gonna know that voice and get excited for it, right? Like, all of a sudden yesterday, a lot of people remembered Atriox, and Halo Wars 2 was not the biggest success of the world. So I'm happy to see that people are finally getting on the train that this guy's awesome. Like, I got on the train a few months ago as well when Luke was showing me all the cinematics to the game. Like, he's freaking awesome, dude. And so for me, that cryptic post means a lot because Halo means a lot to me as a gamer. I wouldn't be the same type of gamer I am today if it wasn't for the Master Chief. So that series holds a very special place in my heart, and having that cryptic message out there and seeing that people actually gave a crap gave me hope, because we've had this narrative for a while now that, Halo's Halo and it's just, it's fine. But seeing people actually cling to this, and I think it's at a moment where everybody's stuck in their homes and like everybody kind of needs something to escape. Having this little thing to get excited for, having, a brute speak instead of some Promethean person they're trying to make us care about.
Let's just say it. No one cares about the Prometheans. They suck. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. They're awful.
Big time.
But having the brute speak is awesome in a way where it kind of triggers that synapse in your brain where you're thinking of Halo 2. And Halo 2 for a lot of people is holding a special place. If it's not your favorite Halo game, I understand, because it's not. But it holds a special place, at least in so many gamers' hearts. Halo 2 was a moment. And so seeing so many people, even who are outside the Xbox ecosystem, really excited for this little minute-long thing gives me a big giant hope that this game is going to do gangbusters in November, and it's going to hopefully prove itself. But it looks like that the energy in the room is that people want Halo back. So I want to see how they bring it back. And it does interest me because, when Halo goes up against a Call of Duty, it doesn't do well. We saw that with Halo 4 and 5. So I want to know when this game launches, and I want to know what's going to differentiate itself from the Call of Duties, so that the hardcore fans are going to play it, but how they're going to grip the more casual audiences back into the Halo sphere. So that did a whole lot to me. Now I got all these questions that I'm excited for Microsoft to answer. So I'm totally on board.
Yeah, I mean, I put it this way: what they did yesterday with that little piece of marketing, because again, obviously, they're going to start ramping up the marketing. You're going to start seeing, stuff like this drop, even if they're little teasers here and there. Microsoft is, by the time the July event comes, and I'm not saying this as being disrespectful. I'm saying it from a marketing point of view, from a marketing, prowess, right? No one's going to remember the Sony show. And that's what's going to wind up happening. Just like no one remembered when Xbox did something big, and then Sony did something big. Oh, what happened with Xbox? I'm thinking about PlayStation right now, and I think that, again, we're going to get into it in a second. What Phil had to say, for me personally, as someone who has been to E3, and it's crazy that me and Luke were at E3. We didn't get a chance to meet last year. That's bananas. But we've all been disappointed in the last couple of events from Microsoft. Some more than others, and that's fine. I mean, I'm my glass always half full, so I try to look at it from the positive point of view. And I've been satisfied, but I haven't been over the moon. And I think that that's what we're going to get for July. But you know what? Let's bring in Archimedes. Now, Archimedes, this dropped out of nowhere, and it's something that Microsoft has been doing recently. They've been dropping, if it's not an article on Xbox Wire from Phil Spencer, or someone else. It's a video here, or it's an interview there, and it sets the Xbox community on fire with excitement. And this did something that the two Halo trailers before didn't, as great as they were. We got a chance to see what Halo Infinite looked like. It showed some of the wildlife, how open world it was going to potentially be. You got a chance to see only a smidget of Master Chief. Then we, of course, last year's E3, we got the actual, you got to see Master Chief talk. You got a chance to, meet a new character in the Halo universe that was piloting the ship. But this yesterday, the confirmation of Atriox is, I want to say it's the biggest stake in the ground you can drop. I mean, simply because a lot of people, including myself and many people on this panel, and of course in the chat as we close in on 350 people here, have had concerns that who is going to be the antagonist? Is it going to be just the same old retreaded Prometheans? Well, you know what? Confirmation has, we got confirmation that that's not in fact the case. And of course, thanks to Luke's and Mr. Babbitt's playing the Halo Wars 2, we got a chance to know that the Flood would be, of course, be coming back in a big way. So not only are we getting the Flood, not only are we getting Atriox, but we are getting something that I think everyone has expected 343 to deliver. What were your thoughts on this stealth drop and confirmation of Atriox being potentially the main antagonist for Halo Infinite?
Oh, this has me hyped on so many different levels. So I'll need a few minutes for this one because
this is a conversational podcast. Take all the time you want.
Yeah, because there are so many things that went through my head yesterday when that trailer dropped. You remember the campaign leading up to Halo 5 when they had these little podcasts or what?
Yes, they were great.
This was an excellent marketing for the game. The marketing lead up to Halo 5 was incredible, and I think that is why some of where some of the backlash came from, because they hyped that game so incredibly up, and they did the advertisements so good. And this reminded me of that. This is a little piece of information they dropped randomly on a Monday. No, pardon me, on a Wednesday.
Well, they usually do it on Monday, but yes, this was Wednesday. Yes.
Yeah. With all the lockdown, I'm always getting confused which day we actually have. No, but this is something I really dig, these little pieces leading up to the bigger puzzle and unraveling the world we are getting into, and this is I'm so incredibly excited. And Atriox being there is exactly what I need. It's the kind of villain that I want to see in the next Halo, because if I remember back, what originally got me into the Xbox was the first Halo. Yeah, I was living in a shared apartment at the time, and my roommate brought that Xbox, this new console nobody had heard of in Germany before, back home, and told me, dude, you have to play this game called Halo. And then we started playing, and after, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, his brand new girlfriend called him off, and I was alone in the apartment and stayed up all night playing Halo. And I thought, whoa, this is a great game. But then there were all these little enemies, with little, colorful, and the gunplay was good. I really liked it. And then something happened. The Flood came, and this was a really a moment for me. Whoa, this game is so much more than just a shooter with colorful enemies. It was really a moment that got me into Halo, that creepy feeling when the Flood came for the first time. And now we get that again. We are going away from the Prometheans, those glowy robot enemies, and are getting back to that creepy enemy feeling of Halo, with Atriox being in there, with definitely the Flood coming there. Luke said it when he said it. I remember, because it was a while ago when I played Halo Wars. But it really has me really excited. This is exactly what I want. This tone of Halo with an actual bad guy that is really scary, and even the bad guys in Halo are scared of him. So this is exactly what I want. And that, combined with the announcement in the Xbox Wire article that Halo Infinite is going to take advantage of all the bells and whistles from the Xbox Series X, ray tracing, high frame rates, etc. This is going to be insane, this game. I can't wait.
Look, there is a lot to be excited about. Again, I understand that if some people were disappointed, and I'm one of them, I'd be the first. I mean, I don't dog Halo 5. I don't hate it. It's not the worst Halo I've ever played. It just fell short of my personal expectations regarding Chief. 4 was fantastic. 4 things with multiplayer. They tried to focusing on a trend instead of just what made Halo multiplayer great. And that was 343's first shot at it. Okay, so they failed there, but the single player on 4 was fantastic. Yeah. Single player on 5, even though it played well, looked well, the story was trash. Sorry, and the story was just garbage.
But the multiplayer was fantastic.
And
the multiplayer in Halo 5 was incredible.
Yeah, Warzone is something special, and the multiplayer was, it was brought back to the what made Halo. And again, you're going to get that, and I think that a lot of people talk about how do we bring in some of the youngins, how do we bring in some new blood to the Halo universe. And I got news for you, man. Some people have some theories about, a free-to-play Halo Online, which I think is coming. But I still think there's going to be some sort of a battle royale system, man. I think a BR is coming. I don't know. I mean, don't quote me on that. I just think that, without chasing trends, it's something that could pull people in from the Fortnite. You know what I'm saying? If you could use a big armored up,
get the Master Chief to do the floss.
I don't want to see that. I'm going to I will definitely give 343 an L, and I might deliver it personally to them if I see the Master Chief doing the floss or anything remotely close to that. I just want to see killing people. That's fine. But you know what? Listen, this has been a great opening hour to the show. But we're gonna get into the real weeds of these things. Now, look, with Sony going first 2 weeks ago. The entire industry has been holding their breath, wondering when Microsoft was going to be doing their first-party July showcase. And as of this show, we only have a few theories that they'll be doing it either the second or third week of July. My pick is July 7th. I don't know why I picked that. I mean, that's just it's right after the holiday. People are already back from vacation, and that'd be a good time to get it done. But a guy like Randall Thor believes that it's going to come in the second or third week, and he's probably right. He's usually really spot on. And, as again, sure, it's vague, and there really hasn't been much to go on, to be fair. But needless to say, it's already being deemed the night of mic drops. And that has everyone, including myself, everybody on this panel, and the 360 people live in the live chat right now excited to their core. But we do have some new information from tweets from not only the official Twitter account of Phil Dominus, Maximus Spencer, soon to be Aurelius, thanks to King David of the Iron Lords for that, but it's what he said that basically set the internet on fire yesterday. And without sounding like a fanboy, I was overwhelmed with excitement. And it's because of what Phil said regarding the event that has me excited and should have you excited regarding the quality that's coming during the July event. And here are direct quotes from the leader of Team Xbox. And this is what Phil had to say. I'm just being honest. I felt good after seeing the Sony show. I think the hardware advantages that we have built will show up as we are talking more and more about games, frame rates, and other things. I feel good about July, and the gameplay we're going to show will be the gameplay we are going to be showing there. He's very positive about that. And again, look at the choice words. The gameplay we are going to be showing. So, folks, he heard the criticisms of May 7th loud and clear. He also continues with this. Sony did a great job with their event. I'll also say that as a gamer, it's nice to see both of us out there and competing. I like the competition. I think the competition leads to better outcomes for both companies, and I love that. And he continues with this. Our teams are working hard to get our July show lineup. We have taken feedback from our last event, May Inside Xbox, and people are going to be really pleased with what we will be showing. Okay, simple. Maybe he didn't let the cat out of the bag, but there are a couple of choice words that I really kind of want to focus on regarding this particular topic. Gameplay being one of them. That was one of the big takeaways that people walked away disappointed. I didn't see gameplay. And I said it. I said the Assassin's Creed shenanigans that went on, that was an epic fail. Shame on Assassin, for the developers at Ubisoft for not actually having a controller in hand demo. That shame on them for that. Feedback, another big word here. They took the feedback from the community that was outraged, right? This is the internet. This is the internet era. Everyone's outraged. Everyone's, and some more than others regarding the May Inside Xbox. They took away the criticism. And, in a funny tweet, Phil Spencer kind of called out Aaron Greenberg and said that Aaron Greenberg is currently looking for a better webcam, and said, all seriousness, the July show is going to be a big digital event. So they made some levity out of what people criticize, Aaron for having the not so good 480p camera. It's the combination of what I just talked about with certain particular words, and then Phil, publicly admitting that they know that they made a mistake, right? They're making fun of themselves with the 480 camera, and they're just letting us know that in fact is not going to happen again. I want to go to Archimedes first on this, because Archimedes, you did an outstanding video that I watched this morning, and it was fantastic from start to finish. I actually got to talk to you privately in the DM and see what software you're using to make your videos, because I want to get my hands on that, because I want to up the production value of my stuff as well. But when you hear keywords like I just discussed, does that give you confidence that Phil Spencer heard the community loud and clear? They saw what Sony brought to the table a couple of weeks ago, and I think they're going to really live up to the night of mic drops mantra that has been running rampant the last week.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be this night. Look, Phil Spencer, he is actually an executive that I would call modest. Typically, he is very more quiet. He's not the guy who's overhyping the stuff. These are the other ones at Microsoft, the other executives. But he is a modest guy, and coming out this confident with this kind of wording, I felt good when I saw that show. He knows what they have to show and reveal in the next couple of weeks. This is incredible. This is incredible news, because this is the confident Microsoft we have been seeing ever since the announcement in December 2019. And them going into this show this confident, this is something that I want to really take in. And it is incredible news for Xbox fans. And we all knew, wow, Microsoft has a lot of stuff coming. And when I put together my video, I started with making a list. Okay, what are the 15 Xbox game studios actually working on? And I realized, okay, there are most of the studios actually having two teams working on different games. So we have well above 20 games in the making.
Yes.
And I mentioned that as well in my video then, of course, because that means, realistically speaking, if we are talking about a 3 to 5 year dev cycle, we will get at least 4 to 6 games every year from the Xbox game studios. Yeah, some of them being the AAA games, some of them might be a little bit smaller games. But anyway, we are getting 4 to 6 games. And it seems like they are ready to really drop the big ones, the bangers. And then I remembered that Matt Booty actually confirmed Obsidian being there,
Yes.
Ninja Theory being there. He said that during the May event. We all knew Halo is coming, and I can't wait to see Halo. But of course, I want to see what the other studios are working on. And we already know
be there as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then Playground, of course, it hasn't been confirmed officially, but we all know it's coming. Forza is coming. There's so much coming. And there you go. This was for you, Bad Fit. No, there's quite a lot of stuff happening. Yeah, and even if they don't show some of the stuff, like, I don't know, a State of Decay 3 or the game the initiative is working on or whatever, even if they hold something back, they still have so many awesome games to show. And it sounds to me that they really are ready to show them, and that they want to blow us away. And I couldn't be more excited for the event.
I mean, listen, again, we're all sitting on our hands waiting for Phil Spencer to give us a date so we know to properly plan. I mean, everyone's going to be doing a show. Obviously, I can tell the fans right now that whenever the event is happening, you could rest assured that as soon as the event is over, and again, if it's in the middle of the day, let's say for instance they drop it here at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, expect us to go live 8 o'clock that evening to break down the event. I mean, we're not going to go live directly right after because a lot of people are going to do that. I want to give everyone an opportunity to stream it and get excited about it. So understand that if it's the middle of the day, like I believe it's going to be, then we're going to be going live 8 p.m. whatever day that is, and that's going to be. It doesn't matter. I mean, Mrs. Boomstick already knows that that's a big show, and I will be bringing you hands-on live coverage with an incredible panel. I can assure you that. But Luke, let's get back to you now. When you hear Phil Spencer making fun of the 480 cam. I mean, it's meant to be a joke and bring levity to a situation that a lot of people were upset with, right? So they address it publicly. They understand that there was an issue. But then when you hear the word feedback, we've taken feedback from the community, means that they're listening. But when you go back to the statement from the first paragraph, I feel good about July and the gameplay we are going to be showing there. It obviously they heard us loud and clear. Are you even more excited now?
No. I mean, I don't mean to sound flippant, but like they should have heard feedback. That's an important thing for them to do. They're self-aware, which I appreciate. I liked the fridge joke in the May one. I don't want to see it again.
Right.
I'm glad they're hearing feedback. I'm excited. I believe it was Archimedes that said there's a very clear level of confidence that's being shown here. And we will find out very quickly if that confidence was in error. And that will throw everything off. This is a make or break show for them. Their launch is make or break for them. And they absolutely must nail it. Halo Infinite must nail it. They've got to get everything right to be back on track, to be a dominant force in the gaming industry again, because they've got it. Services look good. Hardware looks good. Now it's IP. So
right. Games.
Yeah. Right. It's games. And to be self-aware, to be confident, I think they got a good shot at something. Sony's box is huge, well stylized in my opinion, but big. So they've got an opportunity on the hardware side. Their software simply must deliver, and you don't go have 15 studios with rumors of more acquisitions in the works and not feel confident. If he didn't feel confident, man, I'd be at a loss for words and more nervous than anything, because it's like, dude, well, if you're not confident now, what are we doing? So take that for what you will. I don't get more excited in this case, but by no means am I down on it. I'm already super hyped. I mean, the Banished in Halo hyped me up. Seeing Phil talk hypes me up. There's a lot of things that make me very excited. I'm tired of waiting.
Yeah,
just tell me when and tell me how much I need to save. Do I gotta sell a kidney? I'll do it. Whatever. I just need. I'll sell Bad Bit's kidney at this point. Like, let's do.
You don't want them. You don't get it. I'm a lard ass. Those kidneys are useless.
I love it. I mean, listen, I agree with you. I think that the time is now. I think now people have been waiting enough. Again, we joke and we say it. Wait till next E3 though, because they were holding off. They were holding back. There is no holding back. We are going to know who is behind the curtain pulling the strings. This is an opportunity. Again, and you brought up some really great points, Luke. They have the power. Clearly, they have the power, right? No, there's no arguing. There's no, deflecting. The Xbox Series X is significantly more powerful than the PS5. End of story. If you're insulted, well, you know what? Go check out Dealer Gaming, and I'm sure he could break it down in a nicer way. That's the end of the story. Yes, you got a faster SSD. Good on you, PlayStation people. Good. because I'm going to have the same thing. I'm going to have a fast SSD, but I would rather have a better CPU and GPU. That's the end of the story.
I don't care about any of that. I just want to play. I know you do too. I don't mean to demean that. I just mean that we just want to play games. That's
we do want to play games, but again, going back to services, they have that. We know that they have the services. We know about xCloud. We know that Project xCloud is going to be there in a big way. We know that they're going to integrate Facebook into Project xCloud. We know that Xbox Game Pass is the greatest thing since sliced bread. We know all these things. What we don't know, what we want to know, what we need to know is what is their first party 15 studios making. That's number one. And I think, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think that they announce at least, again, this is just a hunch, this is nothing confirmed, don't run a story on Boomstick's word, that they're going to announce potentially three or more new studios to be acquired in 2020, adding to their list. And again, if you remember a couple of in the middle of last year, our good friend Clobriel had made mention of hashtag 20 in 2020, meaning that Microsoft was going to have 20 first-party game studios making first-party titles for their console and, of course, Windows PC. And I think that's going to happen. I think, there's a lot of rumors circling of acquisitions happening. Bloober Team is one of them. There was a story that I don't think we're going to get to, but the Farm 51 is a team from where Cyberpunk 2077 CD Projekt Red is from. They're right there with People Can Fly, and we know that that Microsoft was out there in Poland shopping for a developer, and a lot of people don't know about the Farm 51 or Farm 51 games, but they have a massive studio. And it fits right in line with what Microsoft is looking to do, and I think that, and again, we're not going to go into it into it right now. I still think that the WB thing is happening, and if they don't get everyone, I think they're going to at least walk away with NetherRealm and Rocksteady. And could you just imagine this, guys? Just think about this for a second as we close in on 400 people here. Imagine Phil Spencer gets out there and says, welcome to, the July event. We have a lot of great stuff planned for you. You're going to be really excited. We got Halo. We got all this stuff. And he goes, but before we get into the games, I just want to announce that we have, 5 new studio acquisitions. NetherRealm Studios, makers of Mortal Kombat, makers of the best Batman game, and of course, the Rocksteady games, and they add a few other ones in there. People Can Fly or the Farm 51 and Bloober Team. People are going to lose their shit. Let's call a spade here, folks. You add teams like that to the XGS, and it's console war over, folks. That's the end of the story, man. I mean, you, at that point, come on. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that I'm even more excited simply based on the comments from Phil Spencer. But I want to get Mr. Badbit. You come at a lot of these topics fair-minded, and maybe I'm interested.
Some would say a little bit cringy as well.
Maybe even a little cringy. But for me, I dig what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, of course, what Phil had to say, talking about the July event without really giving too much away?
It'd be weird if he's just like, yeah, well, we got to show you, all right.
Yeah, it'll be okay. Don't worry. You might like it.
Like, what are expectations, you guys? I don't think it's going to be that great. Just know we're trying. No, I have an immense amount of faith that Xbox is going to pull off something really, really special for the Xbox brand. As there's like something that I hear is like, yeah, next E3. I never got that. Like, I always liked Xbox's presentations. Do they always blow my socks off? No, but I'm also understanding that a lot of the Xbox audience are into different games than I am. So like, I always walk in going, there's games that people are going to really enjoy, and they're playing them for $9.99 most of the time, a monthly fee. So it's awesome. With that said, I also come in with this expectation of trying to be leveled, but knowing how many teams that they have now and how quiet they've been in terms of of studios focused on working on the next generation. I believe we're going to see, PlayStation made a whole big deal how they had, this was the biggest launch in terms of first party games that we'll see, or PlayStation Studio games in one conference or whatever live stream. I think we're going to see that from Xbox, and I think it's going to be bigger than what some people are, expecting. You have Project Mara, you have Hellblade, you have, you're going to then assume Halo, of course, Forza, and then what am I thinking here? Whatever Playground is working on, that second studio, right? That rumored Fable. That's 5. That's a comfortable guess. And they have so many other teams as well currently working on stuff that we don't know about. And now they just also tweeted out something from the initiative. So put another one right there. That's six studios that we probably safe bet they're going to be there in some form or fashion. So Xbox is destroying this narrative. They don't need, in all honesty, they don't need a Rocksteady or NetherRealm. That'd be super cool for Microsoft to destroy the notion that they don't have any games. What they just need to do is go look at these 16 studios. This is what we got. This is what we're bringing to the table. Here are 7 to 8 first party games just from our first party alone, not any second party as well. So I think anybody who is trying to underplay this event, because there's some people going, oh, from what Phil Spencer is saying, ooh, I'm worried for Microsoft. No, I'm actually worried for Sony, because Microsoft's getting the wording right for the most part. 9 times out of 10. Yes, you had one event that did not go the way that Microsoft wanted, but for the most part, they have been on fire with the messaging, and it shows by their Twitter, and it shows by simple things like whether it is their Twitter showing, or throwing a little shade at Sony's way, talking about the size of the console, or the Halo, tease.
Even the smart delivery messaging is cleaner than
again, and that's the thing is like, Microsoft has nailed what you're getting out of this box, and it's awesome. And like smart delivery and all that, backwards compatibility, such a clear message that Sony has just struggled with. I have no idea why. And so we're already getting a clean message out of Microsoft. So when Phil Spencer, look, if Aaron Greenberg came out and was like, this is going to be the greatest show ever. It's Aaron Greenberg. He's the PR guy. I would hope he says things like that. I hope Phil would, but Phil has more of a voice to the gamer and the trust than I think most officials have. So I'm ecstatic. I'm really excited. I have almost no doubt, again, as a person that plays primarily on PlayStation, that Xbox is going to have a better show. Because if they've looked at that and they're already saying to everybody, yeah, no, we saw, we're not phased. Yeah, that means they're going to have something big. That means they're not pulling any punches here. They're going to go for the jugular.
Add that to the relevance that Last of Us 2 launched right around the PS5 event. Sony occupied a huge amount of headlines and still does for a bit. And then the Halo teaser showcases, there's interest in Xbox too. They have an opportunity to deliver a great messaging, a great line of messaging with this announcement. And then Sony comes back with Ghost of Tsushima, and they have the opportunity for an August event as well. If Microsoft, knowing full well that they are sandwiched between two heavy, powerful brands for Sony games, if they're still confident, that tells you something in and of itself as well.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they, instead of calling it a fridge, I wouldn't be surprised we see an Xbox Series X somewhere in the background while Phil Spencer talks to show the size and scale of this console, to kind of also throw that shade of how fucking massive the PS5 is. So Microsoft has a great opportunity for a first time in a very long time to punch back, and I'm very interested in how.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good, and that box next to a PS5, when IGN and whomever else gets hands on both units side by side, that will tell a narrative that will do Microsoft's job for them, because as I think the PS5 looks super dope. It's just huge. It's just too big. But I think the style is cool. But when you put them side by side, a lot of people will make decisions on just that. visual showcase there. And whether that's right or wrong is not what I'm arguing, but people are sold and turned off by things like that. And once outlets put them side by side, you'll have a whole new conversation about what fits where and how it goes, because the tower design was so revolutionary. Now these things are like the Series X has got to be heavy as can be, given how heavy the Xbox One X is for its size, and PS5's size with heat distribution. Like those things matter for aesthetics and for fitting into entertainment centers, even though we aesthetics will I put it in my entertainment center, it's done. No, it's nice to have a system that looks cool. It just is. It just is. I'm sorry, Archimedes. I know I got excited. Go ahead, bud.
No. You guys actually moved on from the point where I wanted to jump in, so that's cool. I just wanted to add one thing here. In this whole interview and tweets from Phil Spencer, he also mentioned another thing that we didn't touch on so far. He said something, and I'm paraphrasing now, something like that when they show their games in July, we will really see their advantage in power. And coming out with such a statement is very bold, because then you have to deliver. You have to actually see it, that the delta in power is visible in the games. And this is something I really want to see in July. What do they have that they can come out up front with such a statement? This is something I'm really, really looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, and it makes me wonder if they're going to, maybe they haven't said anything yet. Maybe we are going to get this at 4K 60. Maybe they are going the video, the VOD route because of the problems. I mean, I'm sure their PR or their advertising is going to look at what happened with with CD Projekt Red today and Cyberpunk and say, man, do we really want to show Halo Infinite running at 480p? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, again, people are still going to be excited to see gameplay, which we're going to see. But don't you? I mean, I know that first impressions are supposed to be the tell-all, and but I don't know. I just like the confidence that they have. I like that they're coming out and talking about it. I like the fact that they're out there in front of some of the negativity. They're using words like feedback. They're basically telling us that they heard the complaints. They understand what we didn't like about it. They use the word gameplay. We're going to actually get gameplay like Sony did with their event with Ratchet and Clank and a few others. And I am super stoked. Anybody have a chance to see that? Because someone brought it up, the initiative tweet.
There's like a coffee mug. I think it's in our DM. Let me take a look at it right now.
I saw the tweet. I didn't quite get it. I saw it, so I'll talk in Vamp while he pulls it up to look.
I got it.
I didn't get the relevant. Like, so what? You're making a game. Like, you're excited to show us you're making a game that's exclusive. I didn't see anything new, but tell me what I don't understand.
This is a fake fan answer right here. I just want everybody to look at this. All right.
I've been a fake fan since day one. I spend all this money and read all these books literally to be fake fan.
Yep. Let me just pull it up. Is it this tweet right here? It's from Roberto. Oh wait, yeah, Roberto Serrano. A walkthrough video about a new project developed by the Initiative Studio will be shown this summer with a sneak peek of a brand new Xbox Series X exclusive. Don't miss out for this summer Xbox event. More info coming soon. And then he has a subtweet. First info of the Xbox Series X exclusive dev by the Initiative Studio. Action, adventure, immersive fun experience, I would hope. Photorealistic and interactive environments, I would also hope. High detail animations, I would also hope. FX and outstanding visual effects. Online features. Unreal Engine 5, that's the cool one. And no release date yet. # power your dreams.
Okay. I mean, listen, again, there is, it may not be a lot to unpack, but the fact that the Initiative is going to be showing off a new IP, that should get everyone excited simply because of the amount of talent that they have acquired over the last 18 months. and we're talking some of the biggest names and producers in gaming that have come over from studios like Sony Santa Monica, like Rocksteady, like Rockstar Games, and the list just goes on and on and on. And listen, it's going to be a big deal because a couple of things. One, you just said it, Joe. They're using confirmation that they're using Unreal Engine 5. That's a big deal. Because that's a new engine and it's going to be the bee's knees, so to speak. Number two, I think equally or potentially more important, new IP, right? New IP. That's what people have been calling for. Action adventure.
Exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah. That's. I mean, of course, it's exciting because this is what we've all been calling for years. And listen, this generation, Microsoft did not bring enough new IPs to the table. They brought some, sure, but they didn't bring enough. And I think that
what they get, Sea of Thieves is probably the only IP that's sticking around that's new, right? Quantum Break went away. State of Decay is AA that was still in the 360 era. It's only Sea of Thieves that's new and staying. Am I correct?
Well, Rise. There's still Rise.
All right, come on.
We are not going to get a sequel there.
All right, y'all. Yeah, you can't take blood from a stone, boys. Okay.
I mean, are you talking trash about Rise, Son of Rome?
Yes, I'm talking trash about Rise. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's a great launch game, but I mean, it's Rise, Son of Rome. It's not. Nobody's playing that right now and excited for Rise 2 outside of a very small minority demographic.
Like it's a very.
Who's tweeting about Rise 2?
I love shouting at my Kinect saying shoot, and they don't do it, and they don't listen to me one bit. I love doing that. All right, Luke? How dare you, sir? Come in here.
Mr. Badbit, that is very similar to what goes on with you and Luke playing Halo Wars. You tell him to shoot, he doesn't shoot. Sorry.
Exactly.
That's what you said. Those are his words. I'm only repeating and throwing him under the bus, not myself. But you know what?
Let me get Corey on the line. Hey, Corey Barlog, who's your best friend? Oh, it's me. That's cool. That's cool.
I love it. I love how Corey Barlog always comes into the conversation. And, Mr. Bed, but I'm sorry that he didn't reach out to you. He did reach out to me personally and said, listen, I don't know about the Joe kid, but you are okay, boom. I mean, listen, I didn't want to say that live on the air, but that's what happened. Corey, if you're listening, come on the air. We'll at least get you on the air. I'll tell Bed, but to take off the day.
I gotta go, guys. I gotta go cry. Back.
No crying for you. Listen, let's move on to a pretty sizable topic. But before I do, let me just thank Beaner8127 with the additional $5 super chat. Man, thank you for being here. But more importantly, your outstanding generosity. He says if Microsoft gets well, he says Neversoft, but NetherRealms, I think he meant. They need to message Sony. You keep Street Fighter 6 on off of Xbox. We keep Mortal Kombat and Injustice off of PlayStation 5. It will be used leverage for third-party exclusives. Look, again, I don't necessarily know if Microsoft would do that. Here's my thought process with that. Much like Minecraft, getting NetherRealm Studios, run by, of course, the extremely talented Ed Boon and his team, financially would make more sense to have that game release on the PlayStation 5, Windows, potentially the Switch or the Switch Pro, and of course the Xbox. Where I think they keep it off of it is if they did Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instinct, which would be potentially something that they would do specifically as an exclusive for Windows PC and the Xbox Series X, because Ed Boon talked about that exact subject a couple of years ago. I think it might have been in 2018. He talked about that. We wound up doing a story on one of the first shows for the Xbox Factor podcast, where he did in fact say that he would literally drop everything he's currently doing to have Mortal Kombat go up against Killer Instinct. So if they did get their hands on that studio, and you know what, I listen, I know that it's a long shot, and people are probably poo-pooing it in the chat, but God, just boom, this is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. Well, it's probably going to happen, and the reason why I'm so confident in saying so is because WB Games being sold off by AT&T is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity For anyone that gets their hands on these studios, it doesn't happen like this. You understand? This is something. This is an anomaly, unlike anything we've ever experienced in the 40 plus years I've been gaming. We've never seen anything like this. And what does Microsoft have that they're pushing more than their hardware? Is their services and Xbox Game Pass. Could you imagine selling that service to your millions and millions of people to say, listen, you're already getting all the first party stuff, but you can get Mortal Kombat in there. You can get the next Batman day and date in there for the price of $15 a month. They need to stock as much as Game Pass is just it's the gift that keeps giving. Having two of those particular studios and those two IPs in there day and date will get people on board, and they will stay on board. So that's why I think there's a really good chance that Microsoft, being the trillion-dollar company, could afford a $4 billion investment, and then they could make it back by offering some of those IPs to be multi-plat and keeping the good stuff like Batman for themselves. Because obviously having Batman as an exclusive, the same way Sony has Spider-Man, would move consoles, would move people into the ecosystem. So again, a little bit off of what we were going to discuss next, but I just wanted to answer the question. I want to thank you for the super chat, but let's get into the next topic. Jez Corden, who was on Breakfast with Boom a couple of weeks ago, and will be coming back, OPS, by the way, of Windows Central fame, and of course, the Xbox 2 podcast with Rand Althor, dropped a huge article the other day, adding more fuel to the fire concerning that the Xbox Series X, or AKA Lockhart, is in fact real, and they showed off some latest Xbox SDK documents that basically confirms its existence. Now, security researcher on Twitter known as by Title OS has offered a glimpse at the relevant sections which refer to Lockhart's profiling mode alongside Anaconda profiling mode, basically saying that there are two next generation consoles that we pretty much knew already. It's probably the worst kept secret, but it refers to the Xbox Series X as well as the Xbox Series X. Now, the S. The profiles likely refer to graphic tiers for developers so they can target it for different specs. Lockhart is expected to be around 4 teraflops, targeting 1080p, with Anaconda, of course, or the Series X, hitting, of course, the 12 teraflops. Now, according to the article, little is known about the Lockhart other than the rumors and dark alley discussions, that we've been hearing about. But it's expected to be a slimmed down, less powerful, all digital next gen Xbox, sporting a boosted CPU and SSD capabilities over the most powerful console, where right now is the Xbox One X. And I have a couple of pictures I'm actually going to bring up that were a part of this. And here is the documents, if you can see, where they talk about the Lockhart profiling mode. It says right there, Scarlet Dev Kit, Anaconda profiling, and Lockhart profiling, basically confirming that this console is a thing. Now, whether or not they decide to scrap it at the last minute, we've seen them do that before, but I don't think they're going to do that. Now, before I get into why I think this is actually going to happen, I want to just say this. I had a theory. And I know that, the big talk of this week, or, the big talk of, this week was, of course, the closure, or it's going to be closing in July, the closure of Mixer. Now that, of course, it hurt a lot of people financially, because a lot of people, are depending on that. That's their little business. But I'm thinking a little outside the box here. And I think that, Mixer has been bleeding money for quite some time. And we have stats that just, if you look at the pandemic that happened, right? Facebook gaming went up 200%, YouTube 100%, Mixer, I think it was something like 64 or something, or 74%. And Mixer, what it went up? 0.2%, not
crushing
2%, 2%, which is
that was my channel, by the way. Thank you, everybody.
Well, at least you did something, right? So my theory is, not only does Lockhart actually exist, but it's how Microsoft, we've been hearing the $204, it's $200 for the S, the $400 for the X. People saying, how could that be? How could that be? Boom, it's impossible. Well, you're going to start seeing other things actually that are not making money for Microsoft politely and quietly close down one way or another. And I think that they are making room to sell these consoles at a loss. And the mixture closure is, I think, one of the main reasons why, because it was bleeding money. They were paying all this money into it and not getting any return on it. If they're not paying into that, they could afford to give the Xbox community or potential new customers a cheaper console in the form of the S for the casuals, and dropping the X for $400 for the hardcore. It would be industry defining for Microsoft, and it would put Sony in a real painted corner, so to speak. But Luke, I want to go to you first on this. When you see these, Windows Central running this story, which I posted in the DM, and you have all of this information saying that basically it's the box is there. It's a real thing. Now, again, we don't know if, of course, it's going to come out. Microsoft has done that in the past, but this is an opportunity for them to launch, like Sony, 2 SKUs, one for the casual market to get those grandmas and uncles and aunts that buying their family a cheaper console, but to launch it at $200 would be crazy. What are your thoughts on the existence and these documents confirming that the Series S or Lockhart exists?
Yeah, dude. You asked me a month ago if I was excited about Lockhart, and I would have condemned it. I know we've talked on this show before. I know I've talked with Archimedes and Bit as well, that I do not like the idea of a Lockhart. That was a month ago, and many months prior to that, I was not a fan of a Series S at launch. The more I learned, though, about the method of delivery for games, the scalability of games, and the infrastructure from people far smarter than myself, because this is not my realm. The tech is not my realm. I am less and less concerned about the existence of a Lockhart holding a unit back. I don't necessarily one-to-one agree about the mixer sale reducing the cost of the system, but a $200, $400 price point, that's making moves right there. That is a power play. I don't know how likely that is. We just don't know enough information right now to offer that, but anywhere that you can get people into your ecosystem, which is Microsoft's play. They're not about hardware. They're about getting you into their world. Yes. So you can exist on their platforms and services. A $200 box is great for somebody like Badbit, who's primarily a PlayStation gamer but wants to play. I'm sorry. It's for Badbit, my good friend Badbit.
All right, that's what we're doing.
But it's for my little brother. My little brother is a very casual gamer. Just got his first Switch. Super excited about it. Doesn't want to spend $500 to play the Series X because he's going to play FIFA and a few other games, but is now excited about Cyberpunk 2077. If Microsoft provides him a way to cost effectively play Cyberpunk without needing to worry about the latest and greatest graphics, great, cool. That's fantastic. That's what we want as gamers, is people in our ecosystem, and scalability makes a great play here, in that we can just show off our cross-generational play. I can play Cyberpunk with whomever, or I can play Cyberpunk on an Xbox One, on an Xbox Series S or X, whatever it is. I'm all in on a Lockhart now, if it's not holding back the Series X. And the more I learn, the more I seem to feel that it's not going to. And again, time will tell. More information will tell. The best part about science and evidence is that you can change your mind as evidence is presented, and yes. I'm absolutely fine doing that going forward. I hope that answers your question.
I mean, and it was a great way to answer it. I think everything you said was spot on. I mean, obviously, we are, as people, not just podcasters, we are allowed to change our opinion. We may be headstrong on a particular opinion. Something happens, more information is provided, and then we sit back and be like, you know what? The new information was provided, made me change my opinion on it. Like for
And-
instance,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I would jump in. One more thing. I'm so sorry. If we're diving in on consoles that are $400 and $500 a piece, and there's an option for a cheaper method, like I'm going to get right now in my mind, I'm getting the digital PS4. I'm sorry, PS5, because it's going to be a bit cheaper, and I don't have a physical library for PlayStation. That's a cost method save. If someone's paying $500 for a PlayStation, maybe Xbox brings them into the ecosystem for the first time with a $200, $250 box. Great. There's nothing wrong with that. Having a barrier of entry be reduced means you can be a multi-console household.
Yes.
That's a good bit of news. And that's the one last part about why Lockhart might be a good thing if it's not holding Series X back. Because who wants to spend $1,000 to play Miles Morales and Halo Infinite? That's a lot to ask.
Well, I mean, listen, the point of contention here is getting the people that may have left Xbox for PlayStation. Remember, there was a tremendous evacuation of the Xbox 360 fan base to the PlayStation 4 because of two things: price and power, right? And Microsoft lost both of those from the beginning of the generation in 2013. Whereas now, it's a much different universe that we're all living in. Microsoft obviously understands where they went wrong, and they made the most powerful console, not only with the Xbox One X, which is what we're all using now, but the Series X. And for the casual who doesn't mind playing in 1080p, who probably doesn't even have a 4K TV, and again, we're just all assuming it's going to be 1080p. For all we know, it could be 1440p. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we don't know, but to offer a $200 digital box that is going to be half the size or even potentially a quarter of the size of the Series X. And we've been hearing for months now that there's going to be a 3-month Xbox Game Pass with every console added. That is getting people to come over, especially during the holiday. These things are going to fly off the shelves. I don't know if Microsoft's going to be able to make enough of them to keep them in stock if they're $200 and they offer 3 months of Game Pass for free. And what are they doing? They are planting the seeds for a future where, again, people who may or may not have been Xbox gamers are now going to stay in that ecosystem because of the value proposition that comes along with a cheaper box and an incredible service.
I gotta say, if I can cut you off, because this comment was too funny.
What happened? What did he say?
Emmanuel, hey, shout out to you. You got to be smoking rocks to think any new console is going to be $200. Shaking my head.
Well, if it's a Roku box the size of a Roku, then Microsoft is, yes. I mean, listen, again, that's your opinion, dude, and that's great. They're great.
I'm laughing just because like the thing, like smoking rocks is like the most hilarious term.
What was the Wii? Remind me what the Wii was. 250?
250. Yeah.
And that was using GameCube tech in a reorganized way, if I remember correctly.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, it was like a modified CPU, but nothing else really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Archimedes, how likely is it that they can pull off a box that can play this stuff at a $200 or $300 price point?
Oh, I think it's very likely.
Get wrecked, smoke rocks, kid.
I don't know about the 200. 200 seems a little too low for me. I'm still at the point of 250 to 299. Simply because they will have to have the features in the Lockhart that define the next generation. So they need an SSD. Yeah?
Right.
They need that Zen 2 CPU in there. And yes, it will only be, or only in quotation marks, but it will only be a 4 teraflop GPU. But so they need to have these elements that define next generation, and these SSDs are expensive, even if it's only a 500 gig SSD, which it probably will be. It will be a little bit smaller than the one in the Series X. And putting that all together, I still think their long-term goal is to actually make money on the Lockhart and take a loss in the sales of the Series X,
Yeah.
because they will definitely know that they sell more of the Lockhart console,
Yes.
the cheaper one. And so for them, making a little profit in the sales of the Lockhart will give them the possibility to subsidize the Series X. This is just what I think is their overall pricing strategy. And having this entry-level console, Luke touched on it. I think it is a great idea. It is exactly what the market needs. And I'm not just referring to the worldwide economic situation right now. They were not able to anticipate that 3 or 4 years ago when they had to start the development of that box. Yeah, but there are so many gamers out there that are casual gamers. I always say it: 80 to 90% of the gamers that buy a console, are casuals. Almost all my friends in outside of the Twitter YouTube world, they are casual gamers. They play 1 or 2 games a year, and for them, that entry level point of $400 or $500 to play 2 games per year is just too high. And having this cheap box there is exactly what they need. And Luke already said it. Whenever somebody is talking about the Lockhart, everyone is coming, will it hold game development back? Now, think about it. The whole strategy from Microsoft does not revolve or is not built around them building games for one specific console. All their games will run on PC as well. And if something is holding back game development at all, which I don't think it will, but if something is holding the games back, then it's the PC and not the Lockhart. Because most of the PCs out there, they don't have an SSD. They don't have a 8-core Zen 2 CPU. They don't have that velocity architecture in there, that high memory bandwidth. They don't have that stuff. Yeah, most PCs out there are running on the old mechanical hard drives with lower powered CPUs. So that is why game development today is all built around scalability.
Yes.
And there's only one thing you cannot scale in a game, and that is the actual game and level design. And that is why the Lockhart will have the SSD, and it will have a Zen 2 CPU. But everything else is scalable. Graphics are scalable. Leave some details out. Leave ray tracing out, or reduce the details, decrease the pixel count, and so on. So this is all scalable, and having a product that is really attracting the mass market, the teenagers that can't afford a $500 box, or the casual gamers, or the guys that just want to play the 2 or 3 exclusives they really, really like on the Xbox. Yeah, for those gamers, it is a perfect choice to have such a box.
Yeah, you know what? And again, I'm glad you took the time to explain that, because it makes perfect sense the way that you broke that down. Joe, I saved you for last specifically because with this, again, we've talked about it a little while ago. Microsoft in the past has canceled the product even when it was on the back of a truck going in. Right? They right. We've heard them do that. Right? That's a complete fact. Mm-hmm. But what may have pushed the envelope, what may have pushed the issue for Microsoft not only to release the Series S, but to be overly aggressive on its price was what Sony did. Sony shocked the world by showing the PlayStation 5. Besides its size, right? They showed a physical and a digital edition, giving 2 SKUs to gamers who may or may not be invested physically in the PlayStation 5 ecosystem, along with their PlayStation 4. You know, again, if you like, for me, I actually buy all of my stuff physical for Sony. It's the weirdest thing. Nintendo games and Sony all physical, Microsoft all digital. It's the weirdest thing. So I'm probably going to get the PlayStation 5 with the disc drive, to be honest with you. That's probably where I'm going. But I'm interested to hear your opinion about the information that everyone's been talking about, but also, do you think that Microsoft has been was not forced, but they left themselves pivot room to make this choice to bring out Lockhart because Sony had 2 SKUs.
It's the reason why Sony didn't drop that price, right? Like they absolutely know that Microsoft is going to be extremely flexible. And what you said earlier, they don't know if they're going to drop the Lockhart or not. You know, they all have ideas of what each other are doing about a year and change out from announcing these consoles, right? It's not it's kind of like a known secret, right? So they know way more than we do. And I'm talking PlayStation of what Xbox has, and that is why they're sheepish on price. So in terms of the Lockhart, it's probably real at this point. It makes sense. The power and how powerful this box is going to be, the price, that's all depending on how aggressive Microsoft is and how powerful the Series X is as well. That price difference is going to play a big role in both of these consoles. And at the end of the day, Lockhart's real. Everybody changes. Like one day it's 6 teraflops, the next it's 4 teraskips, and I don't really care that much, but like we don't know the specs outright. We just have vague ideas. We have things in netcode that reference these things. So we'll see. I think personally we might get a 3 SKU console if Sony was able to just shadow drop a digital box without anybody really knowing. Gives them a lot of flexibility and also the illusion of choice as well. So to me, I think Xbox would do a Series X, X discless, and a Lockhart. It's not the most crazy thing, to predict at this point, so that you have a range of things. If you want power but not digital or a digital solution, you have that. If you want physical solution, you have that. And then if you want the bare minimum and you just want to play the game, bam, like you have that family of consoles that they keep talking about. That the brand is Xbox Series. It's not Xbox Series X. They keep talking about this family. So yeah, we're going to start seeing its relatives in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But listen, folks, this has been a fantastic show. We're closing in on a 2-hour mark, but let me just catch up on some of the super chats. First of all, Shastri drops an excellent $2 super chat and says, Archimedes subbed your channel yesterday. Great vids. Well, thank you for subbing his channel, and thank you for
the compliment.
Avis Plush Productions drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: if the Series S is a 4+ teraflop unit and comparable in power to the Xbox One, most of those casuals will be in for a treat. It would be an upgrade. Yes, and as a matter of fact, that basically has been confirmed that the Series S is going to be, even though it's going to have a less teraflops, or like Joe likes to say teraflips, it's going to be more powerful because it's going to have a better CPU and GPU than the current Xbox One X. And another $5 super chat came in from Sean Murray. Hey, Sean, thanks so much for being here. And of course, thank you for your generosity. He says, new news is that the Series S is half the power of the Series X, and that would make it 6 teraflops RDNA 2, not 4. Love the show, by the way, Double Barrel Game. Well, thanks, dude, for the information. Of course, thank you for the unbelievable compliment. I'm glad that you are enjoying it. And folks, listen, I just want to say this. This has been another one for the record books. I think that not only did we get, how many topics we hit? 1, 2, 3. We actually had 5 topics today, and we got some in the middle conversation, which I really enjoy. And let's do the outros and get everybody out of here. And I want to thank the near 400 people that tuned in for today's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. And I have to say, once again, the generosity from this community that continues to be shown is extremely welcomed, but is also extremely humbling. So thank you so much for your support. But Luke, we'll start with you. Obviously, the Xbox expansion pass is your baby, and it's one that's done in a professional manner, but you're also go out of your way to be an incredible community member. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but also check out the Xbox expansion pack pass weekly.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. You can find me on Twitter at Insipid Ghost, and that will have links to all my content that I make. Of course, the Xbox Expansion Pass XEP is my baby. Just had Justin Woodward on, who is the founder of the Indie Media Exchange and Guerrilla Collective. Talked a lot about bringing indie developers into the fold for various platforms and how he does that. Also talked a lot about how Black creators are underrepresented in the game space and how they're working to change that, which I thought was a very insightful conversation. And then, of course, I'm a member of the Mixer to Twitch transition team, meaning that I am having to leave my strong Mixer audience behind. So if any of you are Twitch subscribers, twitch.tv/insipidghost would be well appreciated as well. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you so much, and hopefully that transition is easy, and you don't lose too many. You don't lose the hard work that you put in while you were at Mixer. Hopefully, everyone will find it an easy transition from A to B. And next up, again, you know him as an outstanding PlayStation representative. He is what I hope the community as a whole strives to be. He's the voice of the trophy room, and he also has a good Texas accent that every now and again comes into play. Joe, please do me a favor in that Texas accent. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out the trophy room.
Well, listen here. You can follow me over at twitter.com/MrBadBit. MR Badbit. All one word. Nothing fancy there. I'll put out some GIFs, some GIFs, whatever you call it. But this is America, damn it. Pronounce it GIF.
GIF. It's called GIF. That's what. It's not a GIF. It's not. There's no J.
If you pronounce it GIF, slap in the mouth. That's what I give you. Now listen here. You could go listen to the Trophy Room. It's a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. And today it's a late episode. My apologies. But today I will be joined by Mr. Luke Lord. We're going to record a fancy old good time of a podcast. You can find the Trophy Room on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, wherever you get your RSS feed, and on Bad Bit Games, where next week we'll be back at it, talking about all things game news, reviews, and unboxings.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you make sure that you mosey on off into the sunset, and you make sure that you get some hooch before your trip. Thank you for being here. Of course, last and in no way least, an up-and-coming rising star in the YouTube community. His channel is close to hitting 500 subs, which is tremendous. You've seen a huge jump. Your last video, almost 3,500 views, and I want to see it get bigger. Archimedes, thank you so much for being here, but also thank you just for being who you are and providing incredible content and a great platform for people to reach out to you. So do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but also check out your very active and growing YouTube channel.
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you very much for the compliment, and thank you for having me again on your show. It's always a blast here. Yeah, my YouTube channel yesterday, I almost doubled my subscriber count with my latest video.
Dude.
Good for you. That's excellent.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really incredible. So if you are not subscribed yet, please go over, search for Boxenberger. Check out my latest video. It's all actually. I just looked at it. It's close to 4,000 views. It's incredible for a small channel like mine. Yeah, and you can also find me on Twitter, PSN, the Xbox Live, everywhere. I'm Boxenberger, and yeah, let's talk games.
Well, listen, thanks everybody for being here. This has been, again, a great show. Just real quick, I want to just throw this out to everyone that's still here. There's not going to be a new episode of Breakfast with Boom tomorrow. I'm going to retweet it out as soon as I'm done with the show, and making sure that this uploads with no problem. Mrs. Boom and I, obviously, we celebrated our 20th anniversary on Wednesday. She took off Monday and Friday and Monday to have a long weekend, so we could just kind of hang out, lay back, and just chill. So there's not going to be a new show tomorrow morning, but Breakfast with Boom will, in fact, return with an incredible panel and incredible topics next Friday morning at its its regular scheduled program time at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just remember, I'm going to put the tweet out there, and if you wouldn't mind, please retweet it and favorite, and even if you want to just retweet it with a comment, let people know that Mr. Boomstick is actually taking a day off for the first time in what seems like in 2020. And even when I was sick, I was still doing the podcast, and I love doing this, and I can't miss it. But everyone, I want to say, have a great day. Enjoy gaming, no matter what console you play on. And you know what? Just be nice with one another, and really think about what you're tweeting. If you know, remember, social media is you put something out there, it's going to haunt you. And if it's something derogatory, you don't want that on your jacket or in your record. So just remember, reread your tweet first before hitting the send button. But I'm going to close out today's show with something that my dad taught me. It might be lame to you, but it was inspiring to me, and hopefully it inspires you to be a good and better person. He taught me when I was a kid, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.